Hello, welcome to this Monday's edition of Happy Maths Hour. Toni will be joining me any second now, and we are playing games. Here for the next couple of weeks, we will be playing games every day. In the description, you'll find a link to the Facebook AIMSEC page, which is facebook.com/AIMSEC. If you look for the spelling, just click on the link in the description. Every day of the week, there'll be a little activity on there. And so what we're here for is Toni has arrived. What we're here for, and we will do that straight after the break, is we're here to help children and parents to succeed in maths. And Toni Beardon, my partner in crime on this, is one of the world's leaders in this area. And so, yes, I know, she's all getting blush now. And my lighting's not very good, I'm afraid, Toni, but we'll deal with it. So after the break, we're going to be playing games. So tell everybody about it, get them to come on down. I'm hoping Chelsea's watching. Chelsea said she'll be watching. And so we're going to go to the break, do our jingle, and get ready to play some games. All you're going to need is a piece of paper and a pen and your brain. Brain's good, switch on your brain. And I'm just looking for the jingle, which has disappeared on me again. And I know it's here somewhere. Oh, there it is. See you after the break.
It's time for a show on Relax Radio. It talks about me and you. It's time for a show on Relax Radio. It talks about me and you. So listen to us, 24 hours. And let the happiness come to you. On Relax Radio. Tune in to Relax Radio. Relax Radio.
Welcome back to Mindset Monday on Relax Radio with Caroline Ainslie and Toni Beardon. Now, this is being recorded during the holiday season, which means that all we're doing is playing games. So if you've got any young, and these games are suitable for 7 plus, so adults will enjoy the games. They're all focused on learning and learning maths in a powerful way. Toni, what would you like to say about how the games help?
Well, yes. Hello, everybody. Hello. It's holiday season. And when we get to term time and the children, or some of the children, most of the children are back in school, then we will go to other learning activities. But now we're producing a different game every day. And this week, starting today, we've got something called the Check It game. And Caroline, you said 7 plus, but we've got a game that's suitable even for 4-year-olds.
Oh, are we going to play that today as well?
Well, it's all about, that one is just, as long as they can begin to count up to about 20 at the very most. If they can count, then they can play this game.
Fantastic. I'm ready.
Okay. So, Caroline, have you got we want to be able to show the people who are able to watch it. Some people are listening to this program on the radio, and we'll describe what's going on. We'll describe the game, but some people can watch it. So Caroline's got some slides that she can put up.
I want to share on the Facebook group, which is not in the description. Oh my goodness, one of these
Doesn't
days
matter, Caroline. It'll all be on the Facebook afterwards, so don't worry about that.
Posting it now so that it's being shared. Okay, now, right. Okay, their slides are right here. So you want slide number 1. Slide number 1. I feel as though I'm on one of those competition programs.
I mean, as Caroline isn't in the studio, so as we are having to do everything ourselves, all the technology, we're perhaps a little slow. When I think Caroline's had one session in the studio, but She's now in Spain, actually, and I'm in England. Okay, so Caroline, usually we can see that slide in the background, and ourselves, our faces still appear. But leave the slide on, and what you see is a triangle. Now, imagine a triangle with circles or discs at the corners, and halfway along each side, there's a box, a rectangular box, okay? Now, this is a puzzle or a challenge, if you like, and just to give everybody the idea that on the vertices, at the corners, if you like, of the triangle, there are numbers, and maybe there are some blank boxes or a box with a question mark in it, and on the middle of the edges, there's another box, and the number in there has to be the sum of the numbers at the corners or at the vertices. So for each edge, the number in the middle of the edge is you add up the numbers at the vertices, okay, at the corners. So what you see there is at the bottom, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 on one vertex, okay, and 9, 9, 9, 9, 9 on the other. What should go in the middle? If you add 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 and 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, what do you get? Okay.
I'm just making a copy of that. So if I just write 1, 1, 1, 1, and we've got 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Oh my goodness, we've got 5 2s, 4 1s, and then we've got 4 9s. 9, 9, 9, 9. And that I'm just drawing that, and then we can get
4 ones added to 4 9s. 1,111 added to 9,999.
Oh, okay. So you're giving the solution. Okay.
Right. No, I'm not giving the solution. You're going to give the solution, Caroline. We're doing this to explain the game. I mean, it isn't a game yet, but you have to know what to do. Okay.
Oh dear, my lighting. I have to do better for next week. Okay,
Caroline, they can see the slide. We want you to give the answers.
Okay. All right. Okay.
1,111 added to 9,999. Big numbers here.
Okay, right. Add them up. And I'm hoping Chelsea's watching. I know you can add 9,999 to what? Okay, so that's okay, and that's, wait a minute. Oh dear.
Now in the middle of the other side, along with the 9,999, there is in the middle 22,222. Now, actually, we'll just leave this for a little while and see if you can work it out, because we're not going to hurry to give you the answers. We're going to see if you can work it out. Shall we look at slide number 2, Caroline?
Have everyone got that written down? Get it written down, and that there is a link in the description. I'm just going to turn that off for a second. There is a link in the description to this game. So if you didn't manage to get it written down, go to the description and click. It's the Check It game. Click on that, and then you've got all of these slides and all of these the game described, so you can play it later if you can't play it.
Caroline, it would be right. Now this is how the game works. Okay, you see the same numbers appearing there, but they're sort of in the background, because now we've got the rules for the game.
I think we definitely have to read those rules, Toni, because
I'm going to, of course. Now, if you can read while I'm doing that, Caroline, if you can get this so that we can appear on the side or something, as we've had it in the past, we've always been able to see everybody's been able to see us and the slides in the background. Okay.
Toni, that's because Harry does it, and I don't have the ability to do that. I have to actually create them very differently, and he does something magical. So if you're there, Harry, if you could put these slides on in your wonderful way, that would be fantastic.
Okay, so you start with an empty frame. And you take turns to fill in numbers of an agreed type. Now, the point about this is that you can have this game with addition or subtraction. Now, we've talked about addition, but you could have it with subtraction, multiplication or division, and you could go backwards. We'll explain that in a few minutes. So the thing about this is you start with the empty frame, and you can put, supposing we decide on whole numbers, we don't need to have big numbers in the thousands. We can have very small numbers. We can agree that all the numbers that we put at the corners are going to be less than 10 even. And then that makes it very easy for younger children. And you take it in turns to fill in the numbers. And you have to agree the type of number. And let's say it's going to be very, 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 very simple. That is, all the numbers on the corners are numbers less than 10. And the number in the middle of the edge has got to be, let's say we are playing with addition. So one version would be small numbers, small whole numbers, and adding what's on the corners. Now, you take it in turns. This is a game for 2 players, and it can be played with 2 teams. And you win if your opponent can't go or makes a mistake. You win you win. That's the end of that game. And of course, if you get right to the end and everything's checks and everything's correct, you both get a point. And then you go on playing until somebody gets 5 points and they're the winner. You can even... This is not so much a very competitive game. It's a let's do it together and see if we can do it, helping each other and not making any mistakes. So the numbers in the boxes are the sums of the numbers at the vertices in the simplest possible game. And you can play it with any operation, addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. You can play it with whole numbers, positive and negative numbers if you want to, and you can play it with fractions. So it's a very versatile game. And once you get used to it, you can play it without writing anything down. But we suggest that you draw the triangle and play it. You only need pencil and paper. Draw it with your pencil and paper and see how you get on. Now, choose something that's the right level for your group. And if you've got children and grown-ups playing, let the children decide whether it's going to be whole numbers, just positive numbers, and whether they're going to add the numbers or multiply them. Now, why do we want to play a game like this? Well, you've been hearing me talking about it. And one of the big reasons for playing games is to have fun and to learn. But another big reason is to develop some skills, life skills, transferable skills. So that's really important. Caroline, what do you think of skills?
What do I think of skills? Mathematical skills.
Absolutely. All sorts.
I think all
no, life skills, the skills that don't just apply to mathematics. You see, we talked there about...
I've been talking about those in Mindset Monday. The skills that we learn in mathematics are skills that enable us to be successful in life, no matter what we choose to do in life. It doesn't matter if we want to dig holes for a living. It doesn't matter if we want to have an ecological farm in the middle of nowhere. The skills you learn, problem solving, reasoning, decision making, just generally thinking, just the ability to think and make decisions. And these are all skills that you learn by doing mathematics, real mathematics, like what you do, Toni.
Oh, well, you learn it through playing these games. So I'm suggesting that if you're at home, just a few minutes now and then, if the children really enjoy it, take it to, do more of it, playing all sorts of games, board games, games where you throw dice and move counters on a board, things like snakes and ladders, card games. They all develop these transferable life skills. Being able to play and be a good sport and not get terribly upset if you don't win, but to keep trying to think in order to work out strategies that you going to make you more likely to win. That sort of thinking can be applied to all sorts of things you have to do in life. It's not what you know, it's what you can do with what you know. And behind a lot of these games, there is a lot of skill in learning to use your mind and think about the problem, persevere if you don't succeed at first. I mean, for example, if you keep losing, then you get really quite cross with yourself and think, well, why is that person I'm playing with winning and I'm losing? They must have, if I try a bit harder, if I think what strategies they're using and I try to think what strategies I can use to win, then I might succeed in beating them. I shall probably be able to do something I couldn't do yesterday. So
the desire to win might give you some additional incentive to learn more and develop new strategies. I'm going to go for a break, Toni, and then straight after the break, you've reminded me of a very quick story to tell on that. Right after the break,
see you soon, everybody.
And competition and how that can be done positively.
It's time for a show on Relax Radio. It talks about me and you. It's time for a show on Relax Radio. It talks about me and you. So listen to us here 24 hours and let the happiness come to you on Relax Radio. Tune in to Relax Radio. Relax Radio.
Welcome back to Happy Maths Hour with Toni Beardon and Caroline Ainslie. We are playing games from here till the beginning of January, and the idea being that the more games you play, the more strategy, the better you become at being strategic, because these games are all strategic games. The games are starting from low age, so that the activities that Toni's created, you can start at low entry and go up to a high level. And the story I was thinking about, Toni, was that competition can encourage you to develop strategies like, well, why aren't I winning? And help you think and learn for yourself, work it out for yourself. And it's something that I've been working out. I've got a 6-year-old grandson and they're both 6 still. And they have had a real problem with competition, with losing. Oh my goodness, as you can imagine, drama, they lose. And what the game changer that I've discovered recently was to put it this way: you are helping each other become better. You are helping your competition become better. So you've got to be as good as you can be in order that your competition can improve, and they've got to be as good as they can be to help you improve. So it's actually, competition is, in its purest form, is there to improve the competitors. It's not there for one to win and one to lose. It's there, and like the Olympics, that is exactly true. The people that keep beating the world records aren't beating the world records because nobody's ever attempted it before. Over the years, people keep getting better and better and better and better because their competition keeps getting better. Otherwise, they would not have achieved what they've achieved in this day and age. That's it. I'm done.
Okay, so what I suggest you do is you go to the Aiming High website, and you will find lots of, there is what we call an inclusion and home learning guide. Inclusion means it should include everybody in your household who's interested in just playing a game. You should be able to find a game that's suitable for five-year-olds, and older people can play with them. And we're all within this Check It collection, and you should also find games that will challenge and make the 17, 18-year-olds think too. And what it will do for these young people is get them to practice. Now, everybody can remember, I'm sure, who's been at school, because everybody has, if they've been at school, they've learnt maths. And I'm sure you can remember those textbooks where you've got lots of examples. They're called drill and practice. And by repeatedly doing the same sort of thing again and again and again, you get to find you can remember how to do it. You get to have in your head these relationships between numbers, which are called number bonds. And you get a sense of what would be the right answer, and quite quickly you can work it out. Well, drill and practice is terribly boring, you know, and I think children have sometimes found maths lessons quite boring. I can remember one of my sons. We said to him, "Oh, you'll finish that maths homework very quickly, Luke." And he said, "Well, I've done the last one and it's easy, but all the others are the same. And I don't see why I should do all these questions, which are all the same with different numbers in them, but they're all the same." And I just found they do get a little bit more difficult as you go towards the end. So I did the last one, and that should be good enough. And he was quite right, really. But you will have already, if you've been listening in the earlier part of this hour, you'll have realized that by playing this game, they're practicing adding up numbers that you've chosen. So if they're small children, you choose small numbers. And the first example we showed you was in thousands, and the answer came up to tens of thousands. Now, at about the age of 8 or 9 in most countries, children are supposed to be able to add up two numbers that are in thousands and getting answers in the tens of thousands. That's supposed to be something they do with pencil and paper, maybe. But it's not an important skill in the sense that when they're grown up, they're going to have to do those sorts of things, because unlike when I started teaching, and when I was at school, but even before that, a computer was a human being. Nowadays, you know what a computer is, and your phone is a very good little computer, very powerful. And so people don't need to do calculations, but they do need a number sense. And also, there's all these tests in schools, and you want your children to be able to do well. So some drill and practice in the form of a game will be painless, you know, a sugar coating to something which does actually help you to remember the number bonds. And multiplication tables, oh, Caroline, aren't multiplication tables something that kids really hate? And if they don't know those tables, they'll be much slower when it comes to applying the maths and doing the sorts of questions that they're going to be asked to do in examinations. And they're going to just have to take much longer and perhaps not even get it right. Whereas if they learnt those multiplication tables when they were in primary school age, and they just become second nature, then everything after that becomes much easier. So you can play this Check It game with numbers up to 6, if you like, in the corners of your triangle, the vertices, and have the number that you put in the box in the middle of each side, what you get when you multiply a product, it's called, when you multiply the two numbers. And if you do that, you'll be practicing your multiplication tables. And I said, start with 1 to 6. You can start with 1 to 3 if you like, and just use your 2 times table and your 3 times table if you're working with 6 and 7-year-olds. And then you can gradually start, you decide. So you in this game, you make it fit you. You don't just take a game and play it and see if you can get on with it. You take this game and you make it fit you, your group. So you choose what numbers you're going to work with, and you choose whether you're going to add them, subtract them, multiply them, and divide them.
We might have some parents who are very hesitant themselves. I certainly have tutoring one particular boy whose mother really doesn't want to engage. In fact, over the summer, I was helping a young, a lovely young girl whose mother, again, didn't want to engage. So it's not, start, if you aren't sure about what you're doing and you're a grown up or an older person or older child helping a younger child, perhaps, go with what you can do and to learn together, and you yourself will learn and grow by doing it. And one of the things one of the comments you made, Toni, I never learnt my times tables, and I couldn't ever see the point in it. And I certainly never learnt number bonds. What were they? When I started doing what I do now, and people talk about number bonds, I'm like, what are number bonds? Oh my goodness! When I finally realized how helpful they are, they help you do addition of large numbers. They help you do multiplication. They help you, especially knowing your times tables really helps you with that dreaded algebra that so many people fear. That actually I understood algebra, but I always used to get the answers wrong because I wasn't fluent with my times tables and my number bonds. And so if you want to give your young learners the best head start you can, then playing these games with them so that they have the fluency that when algebra arrives as named algebra and the X's and the Y's, it won't be intimidating to them because they've got the number fluency. And that number fluency is really critical. And
number fluency is very useful when you go shopping, especially if you haven't got much money with you and you want to know if you can, how much you can buy for this limited amount of money that you can afford to spend. I mean, you've got to be able to add up the costs of things and know what the total is going to be. Otherwise, you'll be embarrassed at the till when you come to the checkout and it's more than you can afford, and you have to say, oh, I won't have that, So and some children have pocket money. If somebody gives them a present, they've got a certain amount of money to spend, then they can budget it, and they can only do this, working out the numbers if they know. Well, you're going to do it easily and comfortably and get it right if they know these simple number bonds. And it's just simple things like 7 plus 8 is 15 without having to count on from 8, 9, and then count on your fingers. It's knowing that 6 plus 9 is 15, again, the same total. It's having this so that you know it. You don't have to think about it.
I'm not sure if the coin argument is going to hold much longer, Toni, because I think the world really is moving to plastic, especially with the...
Maybe. No, Caroline, are we ready for our jingle?
But I just want to say that it's important that they don't spend more than they've got, even if it's on a plastic card. And that is really important because you can get yourself into big trouble very quickly if you spend more than you've got with your plastic. After the jingle, what are we going to do after the jingle, Toni? After the break?
Oh, well, we're going to talk a little bit. We're going to show a few more games. Along in this Check It collection, and say where they're going to find these. And we've got a few more things to, yes. And of course, then we've got some ideas about reflections for the coming new year and making New Year resolutions and the like.
Ooh, mathematical resolutions. I like it.
No, learning resolutions. I mean, facing up to life resolutions.
Life skills resolutions.
Yes.
Right. After the break, we are going to be playing the game, the Check It game, some more in different ways. See you after the break.
It's time for a show on Relax Radio. It talks about me and you. It's time for a show on Relax Radio. It talks about me and you. So listen to us here 24 hours and let the happiness come to you on Relax Radio. Tune in to Relax Radio. Relax Radio.
Welcome back to Happy Maths Hour with Toni Beardon and myself, Caroline Ainslie. Every Monday from 5 till 6 London time, we do things that really help people, young learners, learn mathematics in a way that will serve them for life. Now, we are doing nothing but games. These are programs. This program's all about games for the next couple of weeks, as it's holiday time in lots of parts of the world. And right now we are playing the Check It game, and over to Toni with the next installment of the Check It game.
Caroline, how about looking at the letters? This isn't maths, this is logical thinking. How about the Check It game with letters?
Well, that's fractions. Where are the letters?
Ah, here we are. Okay, right. Now, at the vertices, corners of this triangle, we've got the words tiger, goat, and rat. Okay.
I've played this one before, Toni.
Ah, so I thought, well, we could do the same thing with same sort of thing with letters. Now, what do you notice about the letters in tiger and goat? Have they got any letters in common?
Yes, I can see some in common.
What are they?
Okay, you want me to say it?
Yes.
You see a G and a T in common with tiger and goat.
So on each edge, the words have exactly 2 letters in common and describe an object with a common characteristic.
Okay.
Well, so we've tiger and goat. Well, they're living things. If we just say we must be talking about living things, that makes it easy. But if we talk about actually creatures which, have 4 legs, and that's also something true about the tiger and the goat. Now, what you've got to put in the middle there, and this is something that you can do, you can imagine doing with just a pencil and paper, or even doing it in your head. You've got to find who can be the first in this party. We're playing this game. Who can be the first to find a word which has a G and a T in it, and only 2 letters in common, and is about some sort of living thing or animal?
T.
T and G.
A gat isn't an animal, is it?
Well, I tell you what, we've got a chat line. So what we're going to do here is
let's see if anybody's. Hello, Godefroy Basuta. Hello, Godefroy Basuta. Can you come up with? We need answers. We need an animal, a living thing. I beg your pardon, a living thing that has a G and a T in it.
In the name. Okay. So if you're watching this, you can see the slide. So a tiger and a goat both have the letter G in them, and both have the letter T. And can you come up with another living thing that has in its name a T and a G? Now, on the we've got a triangle. So imagine a triangle. If you're listening to the radio, imagine a triangle. And at the other vertex, there's the word rat. Now, what's the common letter, Caroline, between goat, 2 letters between goat and rat?
Well, that's A and T, and I've got an easy one for that one. I've got an easy one, so I'm not going to spoil it. See if anyone can give us anyone. Doesn't have to be an easy one.
Shall we give them a clue? I can think of an insect. Was yours an insect, Caroline?
No, mine wasn't an insect.
Oh, well, there's lots. Much easier perhaps than the T and the G. But if you're listening, maybe, and you can talk to us on the chat line. You can give an answer. So we want a second creature that has an A and a T in its name, like goat and rat.
Oh,
okay.
One that has.
Oh yes, there's another. It's a very easy four-legged animal that has a very common one that's got an A and a T in it. Okay, and then what about tiger and rat? Because
I've got one for that. It's not 4-legged though. Does it have to be 4-legged?
No, it can just another creature, another living thing.
I've got a living thing that with a T and an R, but I haven't got a G and a T yet.
What about the T and R? Shall we tell people will you tell people what you think?
Well, I've got trout.
Oh, wow. Yes. Trout. There's lots of creatures. I can think of turtle too.
Oh, turtle, of course. I thought of one a T now. I think it's an animal. I think I spelled it correctly.
A G and T?
I think so.
Okay, so we're looking for a word which has a G in it and has a T in it, and it doesn't have the other letters because they have. And if we're playing this strictly on the edge, we only should have 2 letters in common between the.
Oh, wait a minute. So trout doesn't count because it's got 2 T's.
Oh well, I think it does because we don't allow it to have an if we could think of something which didn't have 2 T's, for example, with goat and rat, we could have cat is the obvious one, isn't it?
Oh, I didn't think of cat. I've got bat and ant.
Oh, bat and ant. Okay, so there's lots there.
But my one for tiger and goat with a G and T doesn't work because it's got 3 letters in goat. It takes 3 letters from goat, so it won't work. And it's got 3 letters from tiger, so that won't work. So that's is no good. I've got to keep thinking. Just keep thinking. I haven't got the answer yet.
Well, there you go. So we don't have to supply answers to everything. We want to give you a puzzle. Now, keep in your mind. We'll put this up on Facebook, and then people can fill in their answers there on Facebook. You see, what we do is every single day we have a new game in December, and through to the new year when children start to go back to school. And this Check It Match Letters game will go up. And where am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about the Facebook page for AIMSEC, and it's AIMSEC SA, South Africa. And there, and also on the other page that Caroline publishes lots of, and all Caroline's friends publish lots of amazing stuff on, is called Making Maths Fun for Kids of All Ages. And either page you will find that there are, I'm putting them up on the Facebook page for AIMSEC and sharing them with the Making Maths Fun page.
That's not a page, Toni. It's a group, so you can join the group Making Maths Fun for Kids of All Ages. And Toni always every day on the AIMSEC page that's now on the it's facebook.com/AIMSSECSA. It's in the description. If you're just listening to the radio show, go to the Relax Radio page and click on the description, and that'll take you to the AIMSEC page.
Well, it's coming along on the bottom of this stream, the URL www.facebook.com/AIMSEC. Now, AIMSEC is
different to looking at the page.
Yes, AIMSEC is where you'll find all these ideas and resources. It's an organization that's based in South Africa, but it's spreading around. These materials are being used all around the world. It's an organization where we work with teachers and help the teachers who are working in the poorest of the poor communities. You don't see poverty like this in Europe. You really have to imagine something. If you think people poor in this country, you have to imagine something a lot worse for people who this is their lives. And we want these children, the children, to be able to get out of this poverty trap and have and because they get a good education, have a chance of getting a better job and having a chance of getting a job at all, because part of the problem is unemployment. So what we do is we work with teachers. We're not out in those schools ourselves. We're a group, we're a charity, and we empower the teachers to give the children a better education. And those teachers are teaching very often. I mean, the average class size is 60, twice the size of school classes in Europe. In many countries, in this sort of school, the average class size is in the 50s or 60s, and some are even bigger than that. And all they have is probably a chalkboard. So we specialize.
Bangladeshi listeners as well, remember that. So if we can encourage them to contact us if they know of schools in Bangladesh that would like to
to benefit from this. Yes. And we specialize because there isn't money to buy resources in making learning materials from junk, the sort of things that people throw away. So empty containers that you will have perhaps have in your kitchen, that you had some sort of food stuff in a box. When it's all used up, then you can use the box and you can use the cardboard, scrap paper, newspapers, magazines. There's a bit of basic kit that's useful to have. It's useful to have a ruler, and it's useful to have some scissors to cut the shapes, and some string. But those sorts of things don't cost very much. And you will find that when we're suggesting games or when we're suggesting serious learning in school, we're very interested in the sort of learning where you're not just learning a few maths facts that you can be tested on, but you're learning how to use what you know in real life to solve problems. And you're going to be more employable if you can persevere if the problem's a bit difficult, if you can communicate your ideas to other people. These are the sort of skills that we're concentrating on. And that will give children, wherever they go to school, however fortunate the family or the community, or however poor, it's common to all, actually, that those sort of life skills will help you get on better in your life as you're growing up and in adult life. So that's AIMSEC.
Now, and I'm 58, and I'm still always learning, always be learning, and they're helping me now. They're helping me with my thinking skills. They're helping me with my mathematical knowledge and my confidence, and they're helping me with my thinking power and my analyzing power. They help. So they're there for everybody, and it's hugely powerful. encourage you to use it, and tell us about if you have disadvantaged communities that you're aware of as well.
Now, if you're going to play this game with very small children, just instead of writing the number, just put that number of dots in the box so they can count the dots, and just a small numbers, and they can play the check it game, just adding up what's on the corners, you can call them, or vertices is the right name for the triangle, and putting what you get if you count all the ones on the vertices, all the dots, drawing that number of dots in the middle. So, you know, that makes it accessible to very small children who are just learning to count, and you can help them with that. Okay. So,
after the break, we'll tell you about our YouTube channel, because Toni and I are YouTubers, and we're going to talk about our New Year's
resolutions and what's going to be important as we move from 2020 to 2021.
See you after the break. It's time for a show on Relax Radio. It talks about me and you. It's time for a show on Relax Radio. It talks about me and you. So listen to us here 24 hours and let the happiness come to you on Relax Radio. Tune in to Relax Radio. Relax Radio.
Caroline, could we have the first slide with fractions on it? This is yes, the check it game with fractions. Now you'll see that on the left there we've got addition, and we've got 3/5 on one vertex and 1/3 on another vertex, and between them, if you add up 3/5 and 1/3, you get 14/15. And then at the bottom, you've got 1/3 and 1/2. And if you add those up, you get 5/6. And on the other side, you've got 3/5 and 1/2. And you get the top heavy fraction, then 11/10. And you can play the game the same way, exactly the same way with fractions. And you can multiply the fractions, which is actually a bit easier than adding the fractions. And there, for example, if you multiply 1/3 and 3/5, you get 3/15, or, well, you may see it right away, you get 1/5. And you can, if you're able to see the slide, you'll see the other multiplications of fractions. Now, once the children are able to work with fractions, practicing a sort of drill and practice of being able to concentrate on, well, let's say multiplication is easier here, so concentrate on the multiplication first, and then when you've got that really, you know, so, oh, this is easy, I can do this, you can move across and do the addition of fractions too. And on the Aiming High website, there are dozens of games that help you to get used to fractions, to get make friends with fractions and feel that fractions are your friends and not your enemy. So you can also work with decimals, and you can work with the older children. They can even work with powers or exponents. So there's all sorts of different versions of this game. Before the break, we looked at playing it with words, and it's just a general pattern of having what do we do with these two things at the corners, at the vertices, and what should we put between them along the edge of the sides. And actually, if we've got something in the middle of the edge, in the box in the middle, and at one end of that edge, at the vertex, and we have to find out what to put in the other vertex at the other end of that edge, we are working backwards in a sense, because if we're going to add up the two numbers to get the total in the middle, we have to do some subtraction, which is going backwards or doing the inverse. So there's all sorts of variations of this game, and it's teaching all sorts of ideas about number, and you can do it with algebra as well. So you'll find all this, and it'll be coming up this week. Every day there'll be a different Check It game, and if you can think of different answers for any of them, you can put them in. Some of the ones, there's only a single answer, but these word games, the matching letters game, there's lots of possible answers.
And
the
lovely thing with the word game, Toni, is we were negotiating what the rules are. So the rules, you can determine your own rules, and there's a lot of thinking involved. There's a lot of strategy involved when you decide what the rules are. So that's a nice variation of it as well.
Yes. I mean, all of these games, you have to start with deciding which rules to use. We're not giving you one game and one set of rules. We're giving you a whole collection of games. Generally, the pattern is the same. They're all working with a blank triangular frame and putting 6 numbers or words or 6 things into the boxes. And if you get it right, and you carry on, but if you get right, everything's right when you reach the end, both people get a point. But if you make a mistake, you lose a point. And it's not strongly competitive, but there's you know, you want to get it right, so you try. So Caroline, that's Check It game. So could we have a look at the slide, which is all about moving from 2020 to 2021? Here we go. Okay.
That's not what I meant to do. Let me change that ticker tape, so you can keep going, and I'll change the ticker tape.
Right. Now, what we're talking about here is reflections for the new year. And there's a bit of a pun here, because you see that there's a little bit of almost a reflection, as if they were sitting on a mirror, the words reflections for the new year. But reflection is about thinking hard, thinking deep, and thinking, well, what's the significance of this? How does it matter to me? And what we've got in this picture is the sands of time for 2020 are running out. We've only got a few more days of 2020, and we'll be into a new year, 2021. And as we move to the new year, what should we think about as being important for young people and their education? Now, if you're a parent, then I'm sure you want your children to have a good education. If you're a teacher, it's your job. If you're a grandparent, like I am, or a great-grandparent, you'll know from all your experience that the better the education, the more likely those young people are going to get a job that they enjoy. When they have to have a job, when they're grown up, they want to get a job to earn money. A lot of people are in jobs which they find very boring. But with a good education, you've got more chance of getting a job that you enjoy. Now, the job I've had in my life, I've always enjoyed, because I love maths. But it doesn't have to be, being a maths teacher. There are hundreds of ways. And we also have some very good videos to show how maths is used in all sorts of ways that people perhaps don't think of in life, and how having a good maths qualification behind them will help young people to get into some sort of work that they will enjoy. They will enjoy most of it, most of the time. Now, what's been happening this year is that young people, different ages, have missed out on education in some way or other because of COVID. All over the world, this has been happening. Schools have been closed. There's been online learning, but maybe the children didn't have the internet or a computer, so they couldn't make use of that. So what do they need to catch up on? Well, they do need to catch up on what they've missed. But point number 2 is that in any group or school, in the class at school, individuals have been out of school at different times. Because, well, as soon as there's anyone in the household has COVID, the likelihood is that the child will have to stay at home until they're clear, and then they're certain they're not going to be able to take that COVID virus into school and spread it around. So some children have been at home and some children have been at school, and the composition of the class changes. So a one-size-fits-all catch-up won't work, because in the class, some children will have missed this bit of it, what they might have done or should have done earlier in the year, and other children will have missed other things, and everybody will have missed some of what they should have done, because in almost every country, the children have been out, schools have been closed for part of the time. Now, the one size fits all is, I'm going to teach this lesson and everybody will be able to understand and learn it. Won't work if they haven't got the basics, if they missed out on something that they need to know. So what I think we should be concentrating on is the skills, and this is what we were talking about earlier in this program, the skills of mathematical thinking, logical reasoning, teamwork, problem solving, communication. These are more important than specific subject content. So if we teach children these skills, and playing the games is a good way of developing those skills, then they can apply the skills to any maths they have to learn, and it's really important to understand. So in the new year, we should focus on teaching and learning that develops understanding and skills. And just to learn it by practice, which we've been saying this, check it game's very good for practice, isn't enough. Children actually need to understand why they're doing what they're doing. And we just showed the fractions. You've really got to be able to understand why those rules that somebody has told you need to apply for multiplying fractions or adding fractions. Why does it work that way? And a good teacher will make sure the children actually understand why it works, as well as being able to do it. So we're nearly out of time, and I want to show you a slide which is all about Christmas. This is the season of Christmas, but I know we've got people listening who are not Christians, and people of different faiths and no faith. I hope you won't mind us showing this scene, some wooden animals and a couple with a baby in the crib in Bethlehem, reminding the Christians of the birth of Jesus, which is what we're celebrating at Christmas. So we'd like to leave you with this and wish everybody, even if you're not Christians and this means nothing to you, just to share in the joy of families, because this depicts in its way a family, doesn't it? Parents and a child, or parents and grandparents and children. And this is what Christmas is all about. So whether it's whether we come to the new year, we wish you a happy new year as well for everybody.
We wish you a peaceful, loving season, and we will see you next week, London time, 5 till 6. Thank you.
After Christmas.
After. Thank you.